The following is an episode of the Brian Brawdy Show, and listener discretion is strongly advised. Because if you're easily triggered, outraged, offended, maligned, mortified, insulted, or otherwise verbally injured, if you're constantly looking for a bubble, a safe space, some training wheels, or some water wings muffin to get through your day, take it up with a therapist. I'm not your shrink.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Brawdy Show. It's time to mortal up.
Good evening and welcome to the Brian Brawdy Show, as we like to call it around here, Radio Bri. I got to tell you, I love that latent fingerprint. Wayne, thank you very much. Tonight's episode title, The Fingerprint of Providence. We'll get into that, but, I was cleaning in the garage the other day, and I came across the briefcase. I should bring it down sometime to show everyone, but I came across the briefcase that I first used way back when. Golly, it was 1983. I was in uniform. Hey, Miss Putnam, right back at ya. I was in uniform in the police department, and I created my first ever latent fingerprint kit. Right. I cut some styrofoam. I had some powder. I had some brushes. I had all those things so that when I go to a crime scene and I try to figure out if the bad guy or the bad girl left any evidence behind, I had a really great detective sergeant who I was fortunate enough to learn from, and said, look, whenever a bad guy or a bad girl, we don't want to mansplain, whenever they're at their crime scene, they take something away and they leave something behind. And you just have to be clear. You have to be astute enough. You have to be awake enough to see the fingerprints, to see the evidence that they left behind. And to the degree that you're awake, to the degree, let me move this over here, to the degree that you can figure out what they left behind, you'll be able to solve the case. And we'll get into it here a little bit later in the hour when we talk about Mortal Up, but I have an overwhelming belief. That's my belief. You're welcome to it if you like. An overwhelming belief in the concept of the fingerprint of Providence. And what that simply means, if you look at Joseph Campbell, if you look at Schopenhauer, if you look at some of the biggest things, if you look at the late Steve, they're all late, I guess, by now, but if you look at Steve Jobs, and they talk about when you look back over your life, everything just seems to put itself together. There's little pieces of a puzzle. There's things that you never would have imagined, right, Candace? Good evening. You never would have imagined that they would have all fallen together the way they did, but they did. And then if you're able, if you're clinically sharp enough to pick up on them, you see everything lined up just for you. And I have a heartfelt belief in that. That, yes, we talked about last evening, or maybe the evening before, the Tao follows its own path. But for those of us that are able to pay attention to the latent, to the fingerprints of Providence, they lead us in the direction that we're intended to go. Now, that doesn't mean that you're buffered in any way from fate. Your fingerprint of Providence could very well contain fate. But what it does is it allows us to go, wait a minute, I've got a gut, I've got an intuition, I've got an inkling. There's something going on, and I sense that a part of it is going on to get my attention. And what path here in the labyrinth of life, the ups, downs, lefts, rights, pivots, swerves, always a cul-de-sac, never a dead end unless you decide. What are some of those things that I'm just asleep? I don't see them. I don't hear them. I don't smell them. They're fingerprints. They're barely, right? They're barely noticeable. But to the people that are attuned to finding those, then I believe the adventure opens, right? The adventure, life itself, something about to happen. Not an expedition, nothing you can plan for, nothing as the crow flies. But as I said, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, the ups, the downs, all of it. All thrown into the gazpacho that is human life. All an opportunity to channel your buried logic, channel your authentic vigor, to bring your natural resources to bear on the moment at hand, and then you can pull off anything. Good evening, Bart. Let me say howdy. Joseph, I don't see you yet in the feed, but nice to see you as well. Heather, good evening. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here on the Brian Brawdy Show. We're talking about the fingerprint of Providence. We're talking about What happens when you get a gut feeling? What happens when you get an inclination? What if it really is that latent fingerprint of Providence itself? What was it in Goethe's, in the Scottish expedition? The guy misquotes Goethe, but he basically calls it, when someone commits, when they definitely commit, when they say, look, this is what I'm all about. I'm going to square my shoulders. I'm going to make it work, and no one is going to stand in my way. No one is going to water me down. He said, when one definitely commits, all Providence moves too. And that's been my experience. Schopenhauer is right. Joseph Campbell was right. Steve Jobs was right. That when you look back over your life, everything fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. But what if you and I were able to look at it in the moment, the jigsaw puzzle that is the moment at hand, and go, wait a minute. Maybe my gut's trying to tell me something. Maybe there's something to my intuition. Maybe there is something for me to pay attention to. And what is it? And I think, to be honest with you, that's what makes life a riot. That's what I say all the time. This is the greatest time in the history of the world to be alive. Now, I get slammed, to be honest. I get slammed all the time because people go, oh, well, that's pretty stoic of you. And in fact, that's what I believe, that everything happens for a reason, that the Tao does follow its own path. And that when you attune yourself with that path, all types of things that you never could have imagined, as Joseph Campbell called them, all types of doors open that never would have even been thought of before. The moment one definitely commits, when you decide that you're going to live your life to hell with everyone standing in your way, that you refuse to have human wherewithal, your human wherewithal, watered down, that you're not going to be played like a puppet, that you're not going to let fate bamboozle you, that you're not going to be grifted by whoever, big politics, big media, big corporations, big tech, whatever it is. You're here to live your life to the fullest, and you'll be damned if you're like me. We'll be damned if we let anyone stand in our way. As Candace says, I've learned when things happen or go wrong, just say, oh, well, it'll be okay. And I absolutely agree. Joseph, nice to see you, brother. Hello to you as well. Candace says, always follow your gut feelings. And all I'm simply suggesting is, what if there's more to it than a gut feeling? And even if it's all about gut feelings, Candace, what is your gut picking up on if it isn't the fingerprint of Providence? What is your gut picking up on that it might be going, hello? I remember the movie Back to the Future, when the guy would come up and knock on McFly. Hello, McFly. Well, what if the universe itself is knocking? What if your definition of the divine is knocking on your forehead going, hello, I'd like to get your attention here. I'm trying to show you where this path leads. It could be the case. You and I, we don't know for certain, but it's just a gut feeling that I have, and it's something that I've cultivated all these years, that everything suits you and me. And it may not suit us in the moment. We may look at it in the moment and go, oh, my good golly, does that hurt or does that sting? As my brother John, Joseph's dad, taught me a long time ago, embrace the suck, right? Even when it sucks. What if there's something buried? What if there's a diamond? What if there's the whole metaphor of a diamond being a piece of compressed coal? Well, what if there is a diamond in the rough? What if there is a silver lining to every cloud? And what if you can identify the fingerprint of Providence and it directs you into what you do next? Talking to a good friend of mine this morning. He was talking about, I have so many things to do. I'm not really sure how to prioritize the very things I want. And then my ADD kicks in, my depression kicks in, and this and that. And we talked about 20-minute victories. We talked about the fact that if you divide a 24-hour day into 20-minute chunks, you get 72 of them. So my question is, for 1/72 of your day, could you follow your intuition? Could you follow your heart? Could you follow your gut instinct? For 1/72 of your day, what if I'm right? What if Fingerprints of Providence, like that movie, the guy, what was it? The one wherever he walks, and as soon as he gets there, the footprint or the rock meets where his feet are being placed. What is it? The Matrix, I believe it was, maybe? What if that's true? What if it really works that way? What if your heart and your head, when they dovetail, when they pull together, which is why I think the powers that be, politically, corporately, right? Big anything, big tech, big industries in terms of motion pictures or music or sports or the like. What if they don't want your head dovetailing with your heart? What if they know for a fact that all of the Lotus, all the different things that they're selling you that you should be excited about, you should be worried about, you should be upset about? We call it wing sauce here. Whether it's left wing or right wing, it's still tied to a chicken. Well, what if that's all to distract you from the fingerprint of Providence? And we'll get into it a little more, as I say later in Mortal Up. But what if all of this going on is to distract you from being you? Heather says, it's picking up their intentions, how I feel about following your gut. I would agree with you, Heather, wholeheartedly. It's picking up those fingerprints of Providence. Like I used to have a magnifying glass, and I would go, ooh, what can I do? And when we use our 20-minute victories, here's a little leftover law enforcement. For those of you that don't want to defund the police, for those of you that aren't offended or triggered or mortified or right, run for a corner to suck your thumb whenever I say, the thin blue line, I'll give you a little thing. Did you know that if you get a fingerprint and you throw some powder down on the surface and you put a piece of tape down and you grab that fingerprint, or let's say you find something that has a fingerprint on it, you don't want to run the risk of messing it up. Do you know we used a fish tank. You know, if you put it in a fish tank and you have some cotton balls, and it used to be crazy glue. You know how that little crazy glue with the dropper, you would drop it? Well, if you drop crazy glue onto a cotton ball, it emits a kind of like a fog of glue, right? Like a mist of glue. You come back a little bit later, it's solidified the print. Then you can dust it, throw around your powder, solidifies that print. Then you've got it. You can use it for evidence. Well, what if our attention is, in fact, that crazy glue? Now, I know people, especially the ones that have been following me, going, yeah, bro, you're finally admitting you're on crazy glue. Could be, right? Who knows? Could be. Don't know. But what if our intention, what if paying attention to what's going on in this particular moment in all of time is just like that crazy glue, solidifying the fingerprint of Providence? All right, so we'll get into it, as I said, a little bit later. There's a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of cool things breaking in the news. Wayne, before we get ready to throw it to you, you had some news you were telling me about a little earlier from your neck of the woods. What do you got going?
Oh, I think you're talking about the arrest of, I believe it was 6 people by the FBI for plotting to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan.
Oh, wait a minute. I think the FBI's got it wrong. You know, it is the FBI. I think it was someone plotting to kidnap Alyssa Milano.
Could be.
I don't know. I think they may have gotten their signals crossed there. I don't know, right?
People
it's the FBI.
Them
Candace says we need to fund to hire more police. Well, I'll tell you what, Wayne, if that's in fact the case and there was someone that was thinking about abducting, let me lean over this way. If there was someone thinking about abducting Gretchen Whitmer, then I think she'd be the last one that wants to defund the police. I wouldn't want any of that to be the case.
I don't believe she's called for defunding the police in Michigan.
Oh, she has. Okay, good. Well, that's, because who am I? Kamala Harris? I don't want to misquote someone. Wasn't it Kamala says that President Lincoln didn't, what else was I reading today or hearing about? President Lincoln was the one that didn't fill a Supreme Court seat. What was that?
Nah, she made a claim last night that even Lincoln didn't nominate somebody in an election year. But the catch with that is there was no nomination for Lincoln to make in the election year.
Let me see if that were.
And Congress.
Okay, and why was that? Why did he not? Why was there not a nomination to make?
Well, Congress, back in those days, Congress wasn't even in session. Congress was a part-time entity.
Oh.
So
boy, it'll be that were it true, huh?
Until after the election.
Nothing remote control here. I fixed that camera the old-fashioned way. I got right up and moved it. Look at that. Wayne, I'm missing you. Your audio's cut out, brother. But
no.
I want to hear.
You can hear me, can't you?
Oh, I can now, whatever you did, but I could see your hands moving. So it was obviously you had something really cool that you always have something cool to say, but you know what I mean. So let's take it from the top. What were you saying about back in the day where Congress just happened to go in every so often? They weren't there full time.
Right. They weren't there full time.
Tell me about that.
So Congress wasn't going to go back into session until January.
Oh, so that's why he was like...
So that's why he didn't nominate anybody.
Oh, gotcha. All right, Wayne, I know I got to throw it to you. It's 1:15. We will be right back. What do we got?
Portions of this broadcast have been pre-recorded.
Why? Because you can't get these people to hit a call time. They're the worst. Nah, I'm just kidding. We love our guests. All right. We love our guests, and that's true because we're supposed to be able to say, and Wayne, I think we can let everyone in on it now. For those that may not know this, in addition to syndication, we had some talks today about syndicating the show, but we're also looking at Sirius satellite radio. And can I be totally honest, Wayne? You know why I'm looking at Sirius? Why I think that's a way that Counterpunch Media should go?
Why are we looking at Sirius?
Because Howard Stern made $120 million in his new contract. 80 wasn't enough for him, right? $80 million a year wasn't enough. So Sirius goes, oh, well, we got to hold on to that guy. And they're going to pay him, as reported last night, they're going to pay him $120 million a year. So I might not be that bright. As I say all the time, you can't spell Brian without the I in idiot. $120 million. I'm up for competing for some of that. There's got to be, right? Even if you only give us $2 million, that's $118 million less. Maybe we do it for, I don't know, maybe we do it for $10 million. It could save $110 million.
Hey, Brian.
Good evening, Bridget. Nice to see you.
Brian.
Thanks for the clap. Yes, sir.
Don't throw your numbers on the table.
Oh, don't throw. Okay, right. Who am I? Right, we don't want to do that. Well, maybe that's it, though. $120 million. You're right. I wouldn't do it for a penny less than 100, right? But I don't have Howard Stern's hair. But you know what I did hear today? Somebody said to me, you're the cross between Howard Stern and what's the other guy's name? Oh, right, Rush Limbaugh. And I'm like, get out of here. So the first thing I thought, Wayne, was I would have you create a graphic. Half Howard's face, half Rush Limbaugh's face.
And a bubble on top says Brian.
Yeah, and a bubble on top. I'm just like a thought, right? A fleeting thought in the head that's leaking spinal fluid. Right, that's exactly what I do.
We may be able to do something.
There you go. You get half of each one. $120 million. And you know why? Because people are bored when they're driving to work. I mean, think about it. I like Howard, right? He's fun to listen to and everything else. But what am I doing? What are you doing? Is that telling me something? You're holding your microphone over your head? Okay. Wasn't sure if that was a signal for me.
Behind my head.
Put the earbuds. Okay. So in any event, yeah, $120 million. I'm in. All right. So we got that this evening. We got the someone trying to kidnap your governor, which was interesting because when I heard the soundbite today, she spent most of her press conference throwing the current president under the bus.
Yeah.
Which again, probably time for the disclaimer. I vote against anyone that stands in your way. And for me, just so as the people watching around, and this would be a good time as any, Wayne, to say hello to everyone here on Facebook. Also say hello to everyone watching us live over on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, Spitter, the Blue Bubble, over on Twitter, the Blue Bubbleverse. Also on LinkedIn. And if you're listening on podcast after the fact, and our numbers continue to grow there, thank you so very much for listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. And as I like to think, soon to be Sirius. I mean, really? I have to go up against Joel Osteen. Really? Of course, I'll have to get my teeth whitened first. And a lot more hair than I have. But Joel Osteen, now I'm sure he's not nailing $120 million. But he does drive a really nice Italian sports car or whatever we talked about a couple of weeks back. I think Candace may have turned me on to that. Daniel Barrero. Daniel, nice to see you. Hello. Thank you for joining us here on the Brian Brawdy Show. We were talking about the fingerprints of Providence and how you could identify, if you have a gut feel, if you have an inkling, if you have an intuition, if there's something pulling on your heart or pulling on your head and you're going like, oh, what's going on, right? What if there really are fingerprints of Providence? What if the universe, the divine, however you define it, Big Bang or Big Breath, right, walked off the savannas of Africa or were booted, right, were evicted from the Garden of Eden? Whatever, however you define it, Adam, A-D-A-M, or an atom, A-T-O-M, however you define it, what if that energy is looking to communicate with you and all you and I have to do is be present enough in the moment to recognize it? I know that sounds terribly Zen, that sounds terribly Buddhist, but that's at least the thought that I have. All right, Wayne, what else do we got going on in the world? We talked about that. We talked about a little bit of the debate last night. I have to be honest with you, I didn't watch much. I think I had such a letdown from the presidential debate. I didn't watch much of it, and I was just beat. I had a long day yesterday. I should tell you that as starting this weekend, I believe it's going to be tomorrow, Saturday, quite possibly Sunday, given the weather, we're going to be doing a triathlon. And by triathlon, I mean we'll be riding the bike, pulling the mortalup.com logo behind us. Then we'll be getting our mortalup.com picket signs, right? So we're going to be doing that. And then, just because I'll be too tired to do anything else, the third leg of the marathon, Wayne, we're going to be driving around in the Mortal Up vehicle with the huge sign on the roof and the vehicle decals and everything else. So that's going to be my triathlon. Get as many miles as we can of getting the mortalup.com. As I like to say, spreading the word while working on my spare tire. So we've got that going tomorrow, Saturday, and weather permitting, we'll be doing that Sunday as well. Now, I can't remember what you told me, but can you leak a little bit of information? We're pretty close. Are we through one, into the second, almost through the second hurdle with the whole registered trademark thing? I don't want to say anything more about it. Just yes or no. Are we moving along at a pace that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, we are. It's made it through the legal process. It's out for it's out published for comments right now.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Let me also say, Bridget, thank you so much. You know what Bridget just said, Wayne? She goes, hair is overrated. I tend to think so. Thank you, Bridget.
I'll agree with that also.
I thought you might agree with that. Hair is overrated. Well, now, white teeth, right? When you got to bleach them like that, we'll see what everyone thinks about that. Candace says we need to hijack his car and sleep in his church. Or at the very least, I think there's a hurricane blowing in down there. At least help some people get to this shelter. But then Wayne tells me, it says, Bri, you don't get out very much, do you? Well, no, I don't. Why? He goes, well, you know, that sports car that he drives, it's just a 2-seater. Like, there's no back seat. So I guess maybe he could have taken one homeless person at a time, putting them in the passenger seat and driving around, but he didn't even want to do that. So there's if we were having a lowlifes making headlines tonight, it would probably be Joel Osteen. But now Candace reminds me here in the thread, well, Nancy, apparently she's multitasking, right? Because Candace is our in-the-field producer. She's multitasking, wanting to let us know that Nancy is yelping about the 25th. Now, it may be going down right now, or maybe by the word now she means in general, but she's yelping about the 25th Amendment, which, if my study of the Constitution means anything, it means, you got a president that just isn't capable of performing his or her duties. So what are you going to do? You go ahead and the cabinet gets together and goes, yeah, that's not going to happen. So we need to find someone else, apparently the vice president, someone else to replace him or her with. So Candace, thank you very much for letting us know. We'll take boatloads. I absolutely believe that. Candace, thank you very much. All right, so last evening we talked briefly about some of the Meshuggah, and I saw an article today that talked about the number of families that have been broken up, the number of friendships. I mean, you see it all the time on anti-social media, right? You see it all the time about people, relationships are just gone because of the political battle. And I thought, as I often do, that, wow, we just talked about that last night. Isn't it fitting that an article comes out the day after something we were talking about? And here's the fact. In the cult of personality, whether you think, it's all about the person or it's all about the politics, it's all about the politician or it's all about the policy, is it really worth losing family members over? Really worth losing friendships over? Is your projection, your need to be proven right, so strong that you're willing to burn all kinds of bridges just so you can say you were right? Or just to prove another person wrong? Ultimately, I got a quick question for you. Who cares? Who gives a crap? What you and I are going to prepare to do is we're going to prepare to out-brutal the brutal, whatever the outcome, right? It's all income in a way, right? Because no matter what happens, you and I have to be prepared to handle, to out-monster the monster, to out-brutal the brutal, as I like to say. So no, whatever happens in the upcoming election, you and I will benefit from it. However it turns out, you and I will rise to the occasion by saying, look, it's going to take more than a change. It's going to take more than a politician. It's going to take more than some apoplectic person screaming at me on Twitter. Somebody go, oh, well, right? But according to this article, people are losing family members. They're losing friends over what? Politics? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I'm very, very fortunate. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Some of the people around me tend to look at it the way I do. Some of the people around me tend to not look at it the way that I do. But I've never lost a family member. I've never lost a friendship. Well, BB, I guess it's about the fly, right? I've never lost a friendship, at least not that I know of. Well, there was a couple of people that blocked me here on Facebook. Well, a couple other people that jumped ship because they said I was taking a right. I am right-handed. I don't know, but I sense, Wayne, that's not what they meant. I was taking a right position, and all I've said before is we get ready to run to the bottom of the hour here. And don't forget, on the other side of the bottom of the hour, we're going to be taking your calls. You're welcome to text us. If you're not here in the Facebook feed, you're most certainly welcome to join us on YouTube. Put the comments in there. I know Wayne is watching the YouTube feed as well, so if you want to say hello, he'll read it in. Or, of course, you can tweet us at Brian Brawdy over at Spitter, and right here in Facebook, the at Brian Brawdy official. But what I was saying yesterday is I just want to see how this whole collusion thing plays out. I want to see how this Benghazi thing plays out. I want to see how this private email server thing with Hillary Clinton works out. I just want to see it all go. And there's a part of me, right, when I said last night, don't vote the cult of personality. Don't get pulled into the web. Don't get into all that mashugana. What are the policies? What are the platforms that mean something to you? And outside of the platforms, I just want to see some of these people. If, in fact, they're guilty, I can't wait to see some of these people go to jail. So for me, it's not so much about a person as it is a platform, as it is the pursuit of justice. And that, remember, it isn't dual process, right? When it talks about it in our founding documents, it's due process, not dual. They'd like you to believe it's dual, one process for them and another process for you and me, which is why we talk all the time about the maniacs and the masses. The maniacs think it's dual process, where they get to be treated one way. They're above the law. But for the masses, well, it's all us. So I'm just thrilled with any opportunity to make sure that the investigations continue. Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Page, Strzok, McCabe, any of the ones that knew. If it's true that Hillary was like, oh, I'm going to do a smoke screen, right? I'm going to do a smoke grenade, right? You know, when you raid, you may not know, but sometimes if you raid a place or if you want to get a drop on some bad guys or bad girls, you're throwing a smoke grenade because they can't see what's going on in the smoke. It's usually a percussion, really loud bang, and then some smoke goes off with it, right? Because you want to distract them from what's going on before you come and bring or you come and bring the heavy-duty power. So, right, I think that's what's going on now with all of it. And if Hillary's guilty of it, I just want to see some people held accountable because you and I deserve that from our government. Daniel says, when I make a bet with my wife, I like to prove that I was right, but I never collect. It's the idea of being right. Daniel, I got to be honest with you. I've done that so many times. I've just never been right. I think if I were right, I would like to collect, brother, but I'll tell you. You like the idea? What's it like being right? I would love to know how that feels. All I know is what means something to me. Whether it's right or wrong, it's mine, and I wish the same thing for you. All right, we're going to run to the bottom of the hour here in about 20 seconds. Let me thank everybody again, and we will see you right after this short little break. The next side of this, we'll be taking your phone calls, taking your texts, and, so give me a holler. Let me know what you're thinking. Wayne, it's all you.
You're listening to The Brian Brawdy Show. Why? Because you know the truth when you hear it. He'll be right back.
Brian Brawdy Show, brought to you by our good friends at Counterpunch Media and Certifiable Brilliance. It's time to buckle up. All right, before we buckle up, Bridget, thank you very much. Meshuggah, a great word. I'd like to take credit for it. I think I learned it from my grandmother. She was in the Yiddish, although I don't know why, but she was. And I think I learned Meshuggah from her, right? And that's what I think about some of the stuff going on in the media, some of the stuff going on in the mainstream media, some of the stuff going on anti-social media, for sure. Just Meshuggah. It's just craziness. What does your gut tell you? What are the fingerprints of Providence trying to communicate to you? How can you best use the moment at hand to serve you? And can I tell you something else before we open the phone lines, Wayne? Here's the thing. I think there's a big pitch, and I forgot to take a sip of something during the break, so let me do that real quickly. I think there's this big push. Excuse me. I think there's this big push. Everyone wants to say, oh, you gotta be able to detect these narcissistic tendencies. Oh, you got to watch out for the narcissists. Oh, this, all that. And we talked about the 20-minute victory earlier. All I'm suggesting is 20 minutes a day, 1/72nd of your day. It leaves 71 other segments to where you wouldn't have to. But all I'm suggesting is why not be narcissistic for a tiny little sliver, a scintilla of your day? And by narcissistic, I simply mean not so much that you injure another person, not so much that you fall asleep dazed at the pond, right, and become I don't know what he became, a flower or a statue or, I don't know. Was it like looking at the Gorgon Medusa? Did he turn to stone? He may have just turned into a flower. I think that's where the name of the flower came from. Not that kind of thing, but would it kill you to listen to your own heart? Would it kill you to say no to everybody else around you while saying yes to yourself? And if that's narcissistic, the hell with the people that are going to label you a narcissist. That's all I'm suggesting. 1/72nd of your day. Be a little self-serving. Be a little introverted. Be a little narcissistic. But I promise you, the people screaming about you being this little coffee break, this little timeout from the Meshuggah, Bridget, this little sliver in your entire day to be focused solely on what you want out of the moment at hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the other people that don't want you to do anything other than to focus on them, that don't want you to do anything other than having your heart detail with the messages in their head, they're going to scream that you're a narcissist. They're going to scream that you're self-centered. They're going to scream that, it always makes it about him, or it's always about her. Well, you're damn right. 20 minutes a day, make it all about you. Make it all about what you want out of life. You have every right to do that, right? 71 times remainder of your day. That's 71 other 20-minute chunks. You can be as altruistic. You can be as giving. You can be as compassionate, empathetic. You can be whatever you want. But for that little bit of time every day, there's nothing wrong with being a narcissist. And don't let them tell you otherwise. How can they live with themselves over Benghazi? I'm with you, Candace. Absolutely with you. And that's why I'd like to find something. And Wayne was reminding me the other day, if this election goes a particular way, the statute of limitations could run out on some of this stuff. Bridget says, so true, Candace, so true. Bridget, loving the big words. Oh, thank you, Bridget. I appreciate that. I don't know what they were. Amnesia. I've already forgotten what they were. I should write these words down, damn it, Wayne. Just like you should be getting the gong. Oh, here's my gong. You should be getting the gong if I say something I'm not supposed to. Again, a shout out to my brother Bob. Bob, thank you very, very much. I love this thing. So Wayne, maybe that's what we should do. If I say a word, you should just gong me. And that way, when all the people at Sirius or the people that we're in the discussions with for the syndication, they go, oh, don't worry. Even if he slips up and cusses, Wayne's right there with the gong. Wouldn't that be great? That's the song, or that's the sound that we should use when I get carried away. All right, Wayne, what's going on today? What else did you want to talk about? Daniel says, doing it right now. But what about the extra 40 minutes? Well, thank you, Daniel, very much. Here's the nice thing, and only because Daniel asked, and he's a dear friend, dear acquaintance. For me, what I've found is that the quickest way to procrastinate is to look at something and go, oh, man, it's going to take me forever to do that. But if you say to that portion of yourself that's going to come up with all kinds of excuses as to why you shouldn't do it, if you say to that portion, I'm only going to do 20 minutes, 20 minutes, how tough can that be? It's been my experience that portion of our subconscious goes, well, you know what? He's got a point. You know, she's on to something here. It's really only 20 minutes. I can let it go for 20 minutes. Then I'll start riding them like a wet mule, right? Then I'll start, beating them around with everything I think they want to do. All the ADD, all these other things we got going on, right, brother? But what I've found is you start out with a 20-minute victory, and then that little voice that wants to smack you around, that little voice that wants to shame you, that little voice, we talked about it last night in the Mind Up section, personal tyranny. Yes, we can talk about political tyranny. We can talk about tech tyranny. We can talk about anti-social media tyranny. We can talk about all of that. But ultimately, at the micro level, it's a personal tyranny that you subject yourself to. That little voice constantly beating you up, telling you you'll never be a success. You'll never be happy. It'll never go that way. You're never right. Well, here's what I found about that little voice. You go, look, I just want to do a 20-minute victory. That's it, 20 minutes. We're both out, all right? So just lay off. Smoke them if you got them. Go have a coffee break. I'll be back in 20 minutes. You cool with that? Oh, yeah, thanks for checking in. I'm absolutely cool with that. And it's been my experience, Daniel, that then you could go at the end of the 20 minutes, as we do here with the timer in the studio, you might go, wow, what if I could do another 20 minutes? Well, the voice is still out at the coffee break. The voice isn't even prepared for you to go, hey, I think she's going to go ahead and try to string together 2 20-minute victories. It's 2 20-minute victories. She's trying to hijack 2 whole 70 seconds of her day. We'll only have 70 segments left. What are we going to do? Voice doesn't work that way. And then what I've found in some circumstances, especially when I go out on a bike ride, right? When I go out for these 20-mile bike rides, Daniel, I found that when you get to the 40 minutes, you just go to yourself, all right, 20 more minutes. You can turn around, right? Then wink, wink, nod, nod. What you do is you keep going in the opposite direction. So even when you turn around, you get another half hour, right? Another whole chunk of miles to get back. But it keeps your mind in check. It keeps that voice within you from beating up on yourself, right? So when you just go, hey, I'm going to turn this 20 minutes into a second 20-minute victory, and then possibly a third 20-minute victory. I've found that's the way to beat the attention deficit. That's the way to beat the procrastination. That's the way to beat any of the distractions that I tend to offer up at times as an excuse. Oh, it'd be so much easier if you didn't go out on that windy day. Oh, it'd be so much easier if you just sat on the couch and watched. Oh, I can't wait to see the season 2 of The Mandalorian. But you know what I'm saying, Daniel, right? It gives me the ability to string a bunch of 20-minute victories together. That's just how I work it. But thank you very much. I super appreciate that. All right, Brian, hello. Brian, when I'm on vacation, I give myself till noon to do the honeydews I have. So I get up looking for the relief of the next day. So get at it. Right, here's the thing. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. And all I do is I like to get the things that are required of me. Now, this might not work for you all. Can I just say what I do? And then Bri, and then Daniel, Bridget, Candace, anyone that's here, please let me know what you think. Wayne, let me know what you think. Here's what I found. Joey, if you're still here, let me know. Bridget, let me know. I don't like it when my wife gives me a chance to voice my opinion. A matter of fact, I say to her all the time, I want orders. I don't want you to ask for my opinion, right? I don't want a position. I want a directive. I don't want you to ask what's my feeling. I just want you to send me downrange and tell me what you want to be the outcome of this next 20 minutes, right? Don't give me a vote. Just give me a vector, right? Don't ask me for my opinion. Just give me an order. Just tell me what it is that I'm supposed to do. Tell me what it is that will keep me from running afoul of you, and that's what I'm going to do. And people go, well, you can't have that happen. Look, it's the greatest thing in the world, right? Because I end up I go, look, well, what do you think? It's not important what I think. It's important what you want, right? Well, what's your opinion? What do we just say? Just give me an order. Don't ask me for my opinion. And I find out, Bri, like the honeydews, I found out that works best for me. Now, I will also say that I absolutely value my wife's opinion. And I've said this before, and sometimes I get in trouble for it. But, right, let me just say this. I like my wife's opinion because there's a lot of times I do the exact opposite. So my wife's opinion, why it's so valuable to me, is there are times in other situations, other than what she needs me to do that day for her, right, for the things that are important to her. In other times, I do the exact opposite because her opinion is a great thing to ricochet off of. It's a great bumper, like if you're playing pinball. It's a great bumper. So I value her opinion tremendously, which is why I say, look, just tell me what you want me to do, and don't ask for my opinion, just give me an order. Don't ask for my decision, just give me a directive. Give me a directive, and we'll both give me a vector. Don't give me a vote. Give me a vector. Bridget said, do you think that's a setup? Be direct. I don't. Bridget, I say all the time. Look, direct acronym I used to call it, right? Decide what you want. Initiate a game plan. Recognize your feedback. Evaluate mistakes. And by all means, be tenacious. DIRECT. I absolutely agree with you. Bart says, I get up every day at 4 a.m. I am my own boss till 6 a.m. when that changes. Well, I absolutely understand that. I absolutely understand that. Candace said, life changes. I know what you meant. I knew what you meant. Candace says, I don't follow orders, no joke. I don't mind, Candace, I got to tell you, because my wife does a lot for me, right? But it's the same with my friends. My friends who do things, I go, look, I don't want a vote. Just give me a vector. Just let me know. Brian says, I'll be honest, my honeydews are self-imposed. Oh, very nice. Casey doesn't even ask, but I have to get them done so she knows I'll be harder than she would be. As for Casey's opinion, you can guess. I've known you both a lot of years, and I absolutely think that's working great. And it's kind of what, right? There's things that I end up doing because I just go, look, I don't want to fight with the boss, right? Who am I kidding? I don't want to. Just don't give me a vote. Give me a vector. Let me get downrange. Do whatever you want accomplished, and then it's time to reload. All right, Wayne, we're getting ready to go to you. It's quarter till. Oh, you know what, Wayne? We should open the phone lines. I'm busy going off here about, I don't even know what. Team Ashley. Exactly, Bridget. Team Ashley. Wayne, let's go ahead and open the phone lines here for the next 20 minutes or so.
If you would have opened your text.
Oh, did you text me? Sorry. I got the timer going down. I thought you were waving flags on the monitor. I don't got a text from you. Nice job. Who you texting? Last text I got from you says, emailed you tonight's link. That's what I thought. But that's okay. I treat Wayne the same way. Don't give me a vote. Just give me a vector. I got no text from you.
The phone lines are open. Now's your chance to mortal up and give Brian a shout because your opinion deserves to be heard. Dial toll-free 1-833-MORTAL-1. That's 833-MORTAL-1. All
right. And don't forget, thank you, Bill. Good friend Bill Allison, thank you very much. Don't forget, you can also text us at that number, 833-667-8251, 833-667-8251. I'm told standard text messaging fees apply. As Brian says, yes, I remember it well. I think I was there pretty close to the beginning. 33 years of sheer, wait for it, wait, 33 years of sheer bliss. Yes, couldn't agree. No KC, I'm absolutely sure that is the case. Bridget says, just kidding. No, I'm all over being on Team Ashley, Bridget. I got to tell you, I no complaints whatsoever. All right, so phone lines are open, 833-MORTAL, and the numeral 1, numeral uno, if you allow me to culturally appropriate, 833-667-8251, or you can give us a text. Now, don't listen to Wayne. Text still comes through. I just happened not to get his. I don't know where his text could be. I'm looking right here. Yep, I got nothing from Wayne. So I don't know where that text could be coming in, but it didn't come in. Oh, or unless it came in a Grasshopper. I guess I should check Grasshopper. All right, see, once again, I could be wrong. You can't listen to me. Well, I'm glad that you do, but you can't. Counterpunch Media, the phone lines are now open. You can text Brian or you can call 833-667-8251. Want to know what's on your mind? Oh, hey, do you have an opinion? How did the vice president, if you get a chance to see it, how did the vice presidential debate work out last night? Who won? Who lost? Was it a tie? What'd you think? So let's take a call and see if someone has an opinion. Ooh, that's that. There we go. Hi, who's this? Hello, who's this?
They're there.
Hello, who's this?
This is Brian.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
How are you, buddy? I figured I'd call you instead of harassing you by Facebook.
No, not at all. It's nice to hear your voice, B. So, are you on vacation now? Is that what you're doing in Jersey?
No, I have a plant down here that's one of my
cool.
many.
Very cool. Yeah, I know you travel a good bit. I follow you on Facebook, so I see all the places that you're heading from time to time. So, Brian, what do you want to talk about tonight? We've got a few minutes here. Did you watch the debates? Is that it? I know we have up on the poll, is America, United States of America, are we headed for a civil war, depending upon how the election goes? It's kind of like open mic night for you, Brian. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll give you a funny story. We all know about the fly last night in the debate. And so my wife sends me a picture of the fly, and I said, give the fly and the man a break, because all of us had problems with flies. Because during my wedding, up on the altar, a fly went in my ear, and of course she thought I was screwing around with the rugby guys and everything else.
Sure.
So I was getting that look, and I kept getting that look until the fly flew over on top of her. So she said, whoa, so you're a lot like Mike Pence. I said, yep, standing across from two angry women.
Oh, you know what? Can they catch two angry women? Can they catch a break? Can guys catch a break, Bri? If a fly lands on you, everyone's going to think there's some connotation to it. Like you said, Casey thought you were sending a signal, like to the rugby guys, hey, rush the stage, right? Like your version of anyone have anything negative to say?
Whoever's got the ball wins.
That's great, my friend. Hey, listen, I have got to ask a quick question. Thank you so very much. You said the other night here on Facebook that you had ordered a hooded sweatshirt. I hope it's waiting for you when you get back home. Let me know if it's to your liking or the like. So
I will do that. I will do that, and I hope it's there too, because it's pretty freaking cold up home now.
I imagine it is. Hey, listen, I don't want to give out because, right, just like the president, you don't want to comment on upcoming battle plans. But I might be in your neck of the woods before too long. You're going to be home sometime in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I'm usually in Rochester when I'm not in Jersey, but I'm home almost every weekend. So next time you're up that way, you give me a heads up, and I'll make sure I'm in the local neck of the woods. I assume you'll be north of the lake.
Yes, sir. You'll know exactly where. North of the lake, which reminds me, Brian, that one time I went swimming behind your boat. Remember that? And I think you've commented before, oh, that makes perfect sense. He's in a booth with no oxygen. No, I went for a long swim behind Brian's boat, sucking down all the fuel and swimming around in the Onondaga lake water. That's what happened to me. Maybe I could sue Onondaga for a brain tumor. Brian, what do you think? Could I have gotten it?
No, it's a clean lake now. You can go swimming. There's going to be a big beach there. You name it.
Really? Oh, well, so we'll have to try. We'll do like a polar bear plunge then. Yeah, because I'll be, right, okay, I'll get a hold of you in the next couple of weeks, but you know exactly where I'll be, and he's looking forward to welcoming you, and hopefully KC can join you, and, pile in the vet and come on up. You know what I'm talking about.
We'll do it. I just wanted to say hello, man, so keep it up. I'll catch up with you every time I can.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, B. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
About a dear friend of mine, known him forever. He probably wouldn't mind me telling this story, but we met one night, out having a little bit of fun. He had a group of people. I had a group of people. And you know how it is when you're young and everybody's, right? Everybody's everybody, right? Everybody's, you're young. You know what I'm trying to say. So we're in a restaurant, let's call it. Nah, I don't want, it's no sense lying now after all this time. We're in a bar, right? We were in a bar, and he's got a group of guys. I got a group of guys, and everyone's just having fun. But one guy probably looked at another guy wrong, or no, in our groups, one guy probably looked at another guy's girlfriend, or however else it plays, right? However else situations like that unfold. And all of a sudden, it's time to go to blows, right? If you've ever been in a bar fight, you know what that means. It's time to go. We would say go to guns, but there are no guns involved, right? It was back in the day where you're like, that's the only punch you have, and you fight it out. It's like a giant rugby match. It's right there. Everyone's ready for the scrum. And I hear this beautiful voice. Now, if she's listening, she may not be listening, but I got to be careful because Brian will tell her, and then my face will turn all red if I know she knows. But I hear this. Angelic is the only word to describe it. I hear this angelic voice go, Brian, and now Brian Bouchard and I are both like face to face, shoulders are squared. And to be honest with you, the whole time I'm thinking, this guy's huge. There's no way I can take him, but I can't back down now, so we're getting ready to go. So we're shoulder to shoulder. we both have weird noses, right? So, like, who knows if we were nose to nose, flat nose to flat, however it works out, right? We both had them broken a bunch of times, right? So, however it works out. And I hear this angelic voice go, Brian, and both of us at the same time turn. I turn to my right, he turns to his left and go, what? And it was Casey calling. And we go, wait a minute, your name's Brian? And I go, yeah. And he goes, your name's Brian? And I go, yeah. And I remember going, wait a minute. You spell your name with a Y? Is it Bryan? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now to get out of this beating that's coming your way? Meanwhile, I'm about ready to get my clock cleaned here. This isn't going to work out well for the boy. And he goes, no, I spell it with an I. Why? Are you trying to tell me you spell yours with a Y? And I go, no, I spell it with an I. And we've been thick as thieves. We've been best friends, fast friends ever since. And it all started. There was a fingerprint of Providence, right, Wayne? There was a fingerprint of Providence. The angelic voice of Casey hollering the name Brian, and we both turned. Thank you, Wayne. The fingerprint of Providence. We both turned at the same time, and then that was the beginning of a friendship that's lasted all these years. So, Brian, thank you very much for calling us. Super appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing your smiling face soon. All right, Wayne, I've only left us 7 minutes. Fingerprints of Providence. We're going to jump right into Mortal Up. This is a great segue. And, Wayne, thank you. The thumbnails that you create are absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you can see in this thumbnail, but the latent fingerprint of Providence is also a fingerprint in and of itself. Wayne works on this. They're great. Every day it's a different one going up on YouTube, here on Facebook. He does all the artwork. Absolutely great. But let's talking about it here in the last few minutes. Don't forget the phones are still open if you want to call 833-MORTAL and the numeral 1, because I believe you're the number one mortal, 833-MORTAL-1. Or 833-667-8251 if you'd rather use the numerals. Mortal Up. Here's the thing, fingerprints of Providence. What if they are talking to you? What if your gut is right? What if your intuition? What if your instinct? What if it's right? What if as you move through the labyrinth of life, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, always a cul-de-sac, never a dead end, as I said earlier, unless you decide. Keeping your nose to the grindstone in this particular moment in all of time. I used to say, magnify the moment. Light a candle as a psalm. Appreciate all that you are right now. Because what if right now, outside of the distraction, outside of the mashugana, outside of the web, outside of the tug of war where the left is pulling on one side, the right is pulling on the other, or this faction's, and maybe it's easier to say factions. This faction has got you by one wrist. The other faction's got you by another, and they're pulling, and pulling because whoever gets the most of you gets to say, see, told you I was right. What has happened to people? Mashugana is the best word I can come up with because it's probably being the nicest, right? Wayne's told me I'm not allowed to say batshit crazy anymore, right? So that's just it. Brian says we watched our fans finish it up. And we all laughed it off. Well, here's the thing. Yes, I know, Brian. I said angelic, right? If she looks at me, she probably, in any event, yes, it was angelic. I was like, Brian, and I'm like, what? I'm thinking, that voice can't be talking to me, but what's the chance of any other Brian be here? Yes, absolutely angelic. And then we did watch our friends because, sometimes guys there's a tipping point. They get to that point, and therein lies the poll we're asking tonight. Do you think the tipping point is here in America? Do you think that regardless of who wins the direction, that tipping point is coming? Well, it definitely came the night Brian and I met because if I remember correctly, it was like a movie. We both took beers. We walked over towards Casey at the bar, and then I think the brawl ensued. And we were busy leaning up against the bar, right? Am I allowed to say drinking beer? I don't know, Wayne. Right? We're having our pops, whatever they were. We're having our pops, watching all the boys mix it up. Now, this was back in the day where it was an honor to meet someone in a battle. It was an honor. Bart says middle of October. Right, just so you know. Bridget, it's a great word now in my vocabulary. BB, it is yours to use. Oh, Bart, you know what? Stolies. It may have been Stolies. I don't know, Bri. Bart's onto something here. Because remember we didn't. I remember other people used to drink vodka bombers, right? Stolies and vodka. I remember that, the vodka bombers. But I'm sure that wasn't you. So Bart may be right. Bridget Butler says bromance. Bridget, it's gone so far beyond bromance. Ryan and I have been battling each other for a lot of years. But bromance is as good a as good a word as any. So I guess I'll just have to live with that. But getting back quickly to Mortal Up, getting back quickly to the fingerprints of Providence. What is the universe? What is the divine, however you define it? What is he, she, or it trying to communicate to you? And what if our ears are so full of static? What if our ears are so full of crap from other people and all the battles, all the anti-social media, everything going on, even our own little voices? Come on, let's be honest. Sometimes it's our own voices piling on, adding to all the crap. It's like our own voice wants to play buck-buck. Remember buck-buck when you go running and jump and land on the other team's back? Sometimes it's our own voice that does that. But what if what if that distracts us long enough that we can't see the fingerprint of Providence because we're too busy handling all the other crazy, whether it's ours or someone else's? We're too busy handling all the crazy in life to see the path unfolding right in front of us. That's why, even with everything going on in the media, the fly, as Brian reminds me, everything going on, this is still the greatest time in the history of the world to be alive. And you know why I believe that? Because you're still alive. You're still here. You still have the opportunity to tap your natural resources. You still have the opportunity to grab your authentic vigor, to excavate your buried logic. Brian says, yes. We were taking bets on who'd win. Salve and Geddes showed up in Camillus because someone didn't want Camillus there because, geez, I wonder why that was. Bart, mid-October. Got it, Bart. Thank you very much, Ryan. We'll make sure you have the exact particulars. But, yeah, I don't know. Why wouldn't they have wanted anyone from Camillus PD? Hey, we should ask. We're going to get Dennis on here before too long. We'll get Dennis on. He's written a new book, The Thin Blue, couple new books, Thin Blue Line. We should get him on here pretty soon to ask him, why is it they didn't want to call Camillus? That's a great question, Brian. Inquiring minds want to know. All right, sorry to go long, Wayne. We are out of here. I think if you get it, if the next 3 seconds, if it goes back to you, I think we're out of here right on time. Brother, thank you as always for everything. Thanks for everyone listening on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Spitter. Also, if you're listening on the podcast, a special shout out to everybody at Spotify, iHeart, and iTunes. Thank our sponsors, Counterpunch Media and Certifiable Brilliance. Thank you so very much for joining us for the Brian Brawdy Show.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Brawdy Show. Until next time, get out there and mortal up.